Welcome to How to Create High-End Interviews video series. In this video, we'll talk about the very foundation of lighting, the chiaroscuro lighting techniques. This series of video programs by Emmy Award recipient Nino Gennati is about how to create high-end interviews for high-paying and demanding clients. The work you'll be seeing here is some of Nino's assignments, done for national and international broadcasters and production companies. Lighting is by far the most important single skill in this profession. Nobody, ever, learned good lighting skills by looking at a diagram showing where each light should go. We learn by looking at what each light does, and most important, learning to control the shadow that each light casts. The most widely used lighting technique today in photography, film and video production, is the chiaroscuro technique. That's Italian for light and dark. The chiaroscuro technique was created in the 14th and 15th centuries by immortal Renaissance artists like Da Vinci and Caravaggio. Renaissance artists were looking to create dimensional depth to an otherwise two-dimensional canvas. They achieved this by creating successions of light and dark areas. By doing so, they visually separated the different planes in the images, giving the illusion of dimensional depth to what was in reality a flat painting. Let's look at the fundamental of how the chiaroscuro technique works. This is a scene lit with a single light source. The light is placed at the camera's position. Think of it as the onboard light on a camera, or a key light placed too close to the camera lens. This would be commonly referred to as flat light. The object appears like a circle. It has no spherical roundness or depth. The moment we bring the light around, like we would on a key light, we start creating modeling. Now, the plane circle suddenly starts showing its roundness. Of course, everything else is dark. And we are still showing only a single plane in the image. Let's place one single light on the background, but instead of illuminating the entire background, we'll concentrate the light only behind the dark areas of the object. Now, suddenly we have dimensional depth, as the object and the background are separated by light and dark areas. This is the very basic principle of the chiaroscuro technique. Let's take it one step further. Let's place more objects in the image using the same lighting technique. Now, the light and dark technique is clearly showing the dimensional depth. As we can see, the light placement is distinctively separating each plane in the image, as well as showing the roundness of each object. Now let's use some lighting and other techniques to concentrate the viewer's attention on one portion of the image. We can accomplish this by lowering the light intensity on everything that is not of primary importance. This will make the main point of interest stand out from the rest. We can also accomplish the same result by using selective focusing, so only what's important will be in sharp focus. Just look at the comparison, the very same image, but with and without the chiaroscuro technique. Can you imagine what this technique can do to our work? Back in the 90s, Nino was part of a group of cameramen, directors of photography, selected to create interviews for the Sports Century features for ESPN Classics. They had to follow specific guidelines on how the interviews had to look, and chiaroscuro lighting techniques were a major part of these assignments. They could only use one light on the subject and often used as many as a dozen of small lights on the background to create separation and depth. Ever since those days of ESPN Classic Sports Century shows, interview technique has become a high standard in most documentaries and feature assignments. The last ESPN Classic Sports Century show was made over 20 years ago, but when it comes to interviews, producers still ask for the classic look. Keeping the chiaroscuro techniques in mind, the best method that Nino uses to expand his lighting techniques is by watching classic movies. Not the movie itself, but the lighting. When he finds a well-lit scene, he freezes the frame and spends time studying the lighting techniques. The best way to acquire lighting skills is by studying the shadow that each light's cast. Creating good work goes a long way into keeping your phone ringing. I would also like to thank Nino and everyone else for allowing me to narrate this program. My name is Andrew and I'm not actually a human. I'm a computer-generated voice, and so proud to be part of this video. Until you hear from me again, thank you and goodbye.